Chat was popping chat on. Feel me? Today, today we're gonna do another reaction. Obviously, it's gonna be more of a spiritual reaction. You know what I mean? Dealing with the higher power and such. So basically, today we're gonna watch a DJ Vlad interview, and he's arguing with I think from what I've seen, he was Michael Jackson's spiritual advisor, things like that. And if you didn't know, DJ Vlad doesn't believe in a higher power. He doesn't believe in God. He thinks everything is cause and effect. He believes in science. He believes in stuff like that, which is half true. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to see how the rabbi challenge him on stuff, and I feel like it'd be a great video for me to do because we all know me. I love talking about God. Even though I don't understand him all the time, even though I'm confused, even though sometimes I don't agree, even though sometimes I be annoyed, even though sometimes I be ticked off, you know what I'm saying? I'm very appreciative, and I definitely have a large respect and a large consideration for Christ and for the higher power and for God, for the religious God and for the people who are not in religion, the higher power. So, yeah, let's get into it. I think it should be a great video, especially for somebody like me. I think this would be a great video. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Today we have Rabbi Shmuley, a.k.a. America's Rabbi, an Orthodox Jewish rabbi, author, and media personality known for his outspoken support of Israel and his close relationship with the late Michael Jackson. Rabbi Shmuley, welcome to Vlad TV.
It is such a pleasure to be here. As long as you're Vlad and not Vlad the Impaler. I am going to walk out of here with my intestines intact, right?
Not Vlad the Impaler, just plain old Vlad.
Okay.
Well, it's your first time here. I want to start at the beginning. So, born and raised in Los Angeles.
Yep. L.A.
Okay.
Born in L.A. My parents divorced when I was young, which is what led me to write all these books about marriage and relationships. My best-known book, probably Kosher Sex. Later becoming Oprah's marriage and parenting relationship expert on the Oprah and Friends Network, because I didn't like my parents' divorce very much, to be honest. I know today that would sound like a bland comment because divorce is what you expect. It's the happy marriage, which is the anomaly. But my mother moved us to Miami, so I was raised in Los Angeles and Miami Beach, and I kind of preferred Miami Beach.
Okay, so you're growing...
Not gonna lie, I've never heard of this guy, but that shows you that, you feel me, everybody ain't gotta know about you. Everybody and their mama ain't got to technically know you exist or know about your brand or know about whatever to, make a living or, you know what I'm saying, do your thing. So,
up in Miami, and when you were 17, you moved to Israel to study in a yeshiva.
Yeah.
So what caused that?
Well, I wanted to be at the best rabbinical college in the world, and the best ones are in Jerusalem. And the one that I went to, obviously I was fluent in English. They say that the synonym for unilingual is American. We all only speak one language, but I wanted to learn Hebrew fluently, which I did, thank God. I wanted to learn Yiddish, which was a dying language for the Jews after the Holocaust, but is now really making a resurgence, especially in academic circles. So all of our studies in Jerusalem were in Yiddish, so I speak Yiddish, which is Germanic in origin, and it sounds German. And it had the best rabbinical program. And if I was going to be a rabbi, I wanted very serious studies, so I went there.
Okay, now, I'm a Russian Jew myself. I had a bar mitzvah, but really I'm not very religious. So what made you go all the way into the religion to the point of actually becoming a rabbi?
And to me, me personally, I think most people are spiritual, not religious, because, I'm speaking for me, I speak for myself. It's a contradiction, right? Because if you look at my behaviors, all the things I do, which obviously y'all don't see, but the things I do for people, the things I do for myself, there's, the things I do for the higher power. But it's instinct. It's not really like I'm like, oh my God, I'm scared. Let me, you know what I'm saying? I just do it out of consideration, because my philosophy is treat people like they want to be treated. But it's not my philosophy. I didn't create it, but I didn't know that was Christ's philosophy until I got older. When I was younger, that's the philosophy I went by. You know what I'm saying? Treat people like they want to be treated. I think I seen it on a school board in my school. You feel me? Ever since then, I just kind of that makes sense. That makes sense to, if I want somebody to hear me out, I'm going to hear them out. If I want somebody to give me a second chance, I'll give a second chance. Obviously not blindly, as I learned as I got older. But, yeah, that's kind of That's been my philosophy, and I wouldn't say I'm religious because one, I don't understand. Because if I would be religious, I would be like a Christian. But one, I don't fully understand Christianity. I feel like it's a lot of contradictions or a lot of confusing things that the religious scholars or the deacons or the pastors can't really explain. And it's just like I'm confused on how you so like strong held on something that you can't even explain. I'm not saying you're supposed to be able to explain 100 of it because we'll never 100% understand God or the higher power. Never. I don't believe. Maybe, but I don't think so. But at least you should understand 60 to 70% of it. You feel me? You should understand the majority, especially because you're a religious expert or a religious leader. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're a regular person, okay, you ain't got to. But if you're a religious leader who's guiding people, you should know at least understand 60 to 70% of it and be able to dispel any contradictions or whatever. Or at least give and say, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I respect that. But long story short, I don't claim to be religious, even though all my behaviors and my reasonings and my philosophies align with that. I verbally don't claim to be a Christian just because I don't understand all of it. And the parts that I do understand, I don't completely all the way follow because I'm still young and I'm still, you know, evolving and growing. And usually when people say that, they refer to like sexual relations and romantic, which that's what I'm referring to. But that's the only thing that I would say would make me not a Christian, quote unquote, is like that I love sex and stuff like that. And, you know, yeah. So, but outside of that, I would definitely say I'm spiritual more than I'm religious. And I just said that because he mentioned that. So let's get back into it.
If I just challenge you on that assumption that
Sure.
I hear all the time, when Jews say to me, I'm Jewish but not religious, this comes respectfully from, I think, a misconception of what religion is. Like, let me ask you a question. Do you murder?
No.
Okay. Well, that's one of the 10 Commandments. You're becoming a little bit religious suddenly. Do you steal?
No.
That's one of the 10 Commandments. You're becoming more religious before my eyes. Do you worship gold and silver? That's the third commandment.
A little bit.
Okay, so we're all a little bit guilty on that one, but I'll give you half. You're at 2.5. Do you, I don't know, lust after your neighbor's wife? Commandment number 10.
No, they're not that attractive. So.
Okay, so here we are. You're becoming more religious by the moment. Do you honor your parents? Do you show your parents respect?
Depends on the situation.
Okay, but you try. You care. I mean, you'd like to, and when you don't, maybe you feel a little bit of a guilty conscience.
Yeah, I would say that.
So why are you saying you're not religious? This is like such a misconception. Judaism is not just keeping kosher, and it's not just honor, like not lighting fire on the Sabbath or not using a cell phone on the Sabbath. More than half of Judaism's religion is ethical and moral obligations. And if you're an ethical and moral person who wants to treat people with the dignity they deserve, and if you try to be a loving father and husband, you're damn religious.
The dignity they deserve. Everybody don't deserve to be treated with dignity and respect and upright. I ain't gonna lie. I don't believe people should get disrespected. Like you should call them out their name or smack them upside the head or nothing like that. But I definitely don't think everybody deserves respect. I think what he means to say is consideration. Because consider and respect is two different things. They're cousins. They're similar. They're super similar. Like consideration and respect is similar. Like you can't have respect without consideration, but you can be considerate of somebody and not respect them if that makes sense. Like, consider is like, okay, I'm walking to the store and somebody's behind me, I'm gonna hold the door open. Respect is like, okay, he's talking, or she's talking, everybody shut up and listen, everybody shut up and listen. You wouldn't do that for a person you just consider it to, you know what I'm saying? But that's just one example, but let me let him go on.
So what we've done is we've bifurcated between all of these religious rituals that some people see as ossified and ancient and not applicable to the modern world. And we've forgotten that's a very small part of Judaism, or it's just a very small part of Christianity. I know tons of Jews who will keep all the ritual commandments, but they're jerks in their private life. I know many Christians. Let's look at the Crusaders. They were so religious. They even sewed the cross. I'm writing a book on the Crusades now, onto all of their garments. And yet the way they were religious was by impaling Jews and Muslims, killed every single one in the year 1099 when they conquered Jerusalem. How religious is that? So I think we need a new definition of what constitutes religion. Because when we say that America is a religious country, and it is, we don't just mean in the Bible Belt or in belief in Jesus or born-agains or Muslims or Orthodox Jews. I think we mean that America believed, and I hope it still believes it, its 250th birthday, that it has a spiritual purpose. That it's supposed to...
Damn, America's only 250 what, years? Damn, that's not a long time, bruh. What the fuck? That's not no long time, bro. 250 years. That's it. All this stuff in America gonna happen in 250 years, bro. What the fuck? Nah, bro. I ain't know America was that young. I thought America was like, well, I guess human life is old, but America specifically, like the country, United States, is 250, I guess. So 250 years ago, it was discovered, quote unquote. So I don't know.
As we have 2 miles from where I'm sitting right now, and at the Statue of Liberty, was supposed to be this open gate to people who have no home. That's a religious thing, to treat the stranger as if he's part of your household. So I think we're all a bit more religious.
See. He really knows something because a lot of people who say, "Oh, you're not doing what God wants you to do," they always talk about sex. I'm like, bro, if you think the whole basis of what Jesus or the higher power is talking about is not having sex, first of all, sex is biological, bro. Now, if you lying to get it, stealing to get it, finessing to get it, tricking to get it, not tricking like money, but tricking as in like I'm tricking you, like I put a trick on you, like, okay, then at that point, you feel me? Or if it's the only thing you can focus on or go towards, okay. But outside of that, sex is an inanimate object. It's not, it don't have no morals. Sex, it has no ethics or morals to it. It's almost like a gun or money, you feel me? Or like a car. Those are inanimate objects. It takes on the personality of whoever got it. The car takes on the personality of whoever driving that bit. The gun takes on the personality or the characteristics of whoever got it. Money takes on the, you know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of people misconstrue that. That's why I feel like it's a little manipulation in there because it's way, like he just mentioned, it's way more important doctrines or philosophy that you're supposed to follow. Like he just said, you're supposed to treat other people like they're you or like they're somebody that's in your family. And then people take that as, oh, that means I'm supposed to pay their bills. No, you go in the extreme. That's not what they're saying. They just basically mean show the same level of consideration and respect that you would show to somebody who you care about or that you know, love. You know what I'm saying? Until they give you a reason not to. You know what I'm saying? So that's he know what he's talking about because a lot of the modern day things that people talk about is like y'all talk about the most like low down on the list. I'm not saying it might not be on the list, but it's way down on the list in terms of most important things you're supposed to follow. Like the not having sex, that's like 7/8 on the list. Like to be completely frank, I ain't gonna lie. Just from what I've learned about the higher power and some of Jesus' teachings. So
Just than we would otherwise suppose.
Well, the whole ethical part I subscribe to, but the whole deity part and, there's some sort of intelligent force that we cannot see, that's the part that I don't really relate to.
Fair enough. So would you call yourself an atheist?
how, bro? How? Like how? How? Oh my God! I'm gonna let him go. I'm gonna let him go.
Or an agnostic?
Somewhere in the middle.
Okay. Well, let me make this point. You can reject a belief in God, but then you can no longer simultaneously embrace a belief in ethics. Because the whole idea of ethics, like do not steal, is based on the idea of absolute morality. Because otherwise, it's just an opinion. Like if someone says do not steal, I can say, wait. Okay, I'm not going to steal from like my neighbor, but the government, they're wasting their money on stupid wars that I don't believe in. They're giving social safety nets to people who don't want to work. Why should I? So that's not stealing. Now suddenly you're defining stealing or adultery. I wrote kosher sex.
I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying. Basically, he's saying that like if you left it up to humans, well, because people do it now, and I agree. Because people do it now, they'll change the definition of and say, well, technically, or like for example, selfish. Selfish has a specific definition, but people will say, well, technically, I wasn't being selfish because this, that. So really, I'm not being. You know what I'm saying? So I get what he's saying. That religion is supposed to be something that's outside of our opinion, that just tells us what it is it's supposed to be from God's perspective, but I believe stuff gets corrupted along the way. Not 100%, but a more amount than people like to acknowledge. And I agree with that because that makes more sense. Because if you leave it to people, we'll just that's why the world's fucked up now. Because people don't have no sense of respect or consideration of what would God think about this? What would the higher power think about this? It's only about what they would think, and most people can trick themselves into believing anything, especially if they do. Most people are biased toward themselves, understandably so. But some people are extremely biased toward themselves that they'll damn near do anything and they'll find a way to, make it like, well, they'll find some way to explain it away or justify it or just, I don't care. And I agree with them that religion does help with that because it takes it out of the individual's hands who may be, whatever type of characteristics, and it puts in a higher power perspective to where it's like, all right, now you can't say you don't know what the definition is or change it because XYZ. So I agree with that.
I counsel married couples all the time. I cannot tell you how many couples have told me that adultery actually saved their marriage. That if a woman would say to me, if I didn't have this lover on the side, I would have left my husband a long time ago. In other words, without an absolute, a God, you don't have morality. You don't have ethics. All you have is an opinion. So, for example, had Hitler won the war, and he came pretty damn close, then morality would have been killing Jews. That would have been a moral thing to do. And why? Because Jews are a succubus. They're parasites. They spread COVID, or at the time, whatever the hell, consumption, typhoid. So, well, look at communist China. Their ethics are that a totalitarian government that actually leads to prosperity and great EVs and is the manufacturing giant of the world, it is ethical for them to suppress your opinion in order to have a greater economy. Now, who says they're wrong? So the person who says they're wrong is only God, because in the first chapter of Genesis, God says that every human being is created equally, and the communist leader of China,
But that's what I mean. Like, every human is created equally in essence, not in literal terms. Because if that was the case, everybody would be the same height, same size, same weight, same, you feel me, bone density. You know what I'm saying? So I think he means created the same in essence, not in literal. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean. Like, where it's like a lot of confusion on certain, just tiny little things like that. Everybody's created equally, not literally though, because you know what I'm saying. Everybody don't have the same wingspan. Everybody don't have the same hair color. So, like, you feel me? Like, everybody don't have, you feel me, like the same intellectual level. Everybody don't have the same abilities. That some people can sing, some people can draw, some people can fix cars, some people can build fucking rockets, some people can build computers. Like, everybody can't do the same thing. So we're not equal in terms of ability or attributes, but we're equal in terms of like essence, But everybody doesn't stay with their essence, which is neither here nor there. But
opinion doesn't matter any more than mine. Isn't that what democracy is all about? It's a religious idea. In fact, I would say democracy, Churchill has famously said that democracy is the stupidest form of government except for anything else that's been attempted. No, it is the stupidest form of government. Why should I, Rabbi Shmuley, who's never had an economics class in my life, have the same vote as a Nobel Prize winning economist about how to save the American? That's dumb. That's stupid. So why do we do that? Why do you and I have the same vote as Nobel Prize winners? Answer: because in the first chapter of Genesis, it says that economics guy is not better than I am. So I actually think that ethics and morality are only predicated on a...
But he's taking it too literal. Like, he's better than you at economics. He is. Not as a human being, as his value is more than yours. I mean, society places value on people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I personally don't think, and obviously I want to be a rapper and, you feel me, all that, entertainer, streamer, and stuff like that. But even if I'm in the industry, I don't think we should make more than like doctors and, you feel me, like fucking teachers or policemen or firemen. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying we shouldn't make no money, but I'm just saying, like, because I feel like they do more for society than we do. Like, if you took away music and entertainment, yeah, it'd be boring, but stuff would still kind of run. If you took away teachers, construction workers, and, you feel me, cops and stuff like that, but just left entertainers, like, we know what that would look like. It would look like fucking chaos. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. Like, so I don't think that, you know what I'm saying, he's taking it too literal in terms of, like, we're not better, but he's better than you at economics, just like you're better than him at spirituality. You know what I'm saying? Not a better human or more valuable, but you're more comprehensive of that certain area, so to say,
belief in God. And the moment you take God out of it, all you're left with is majority opinion, the tyranny of the majority. And if the Chinese end up with their 1.5 billion people becoming 3.5, 4 billion people, we will all live under some tyrannical form of communism, and that will be called moral. And the only thing that will stand in their way is the Bible that says, no, God said that every human being is of equal importance, and because you're the frickin' head of this damn army that can kill me doesn't give you a better say or more of a say.
You're one sentence away from launching your website with Base 44. Since the beginning of the internet, there's never been such a fun, fast, and intelligent... I tend to disagree with that. I think that over time, society has seen what works and what doesn't work. It's not necessarily God in these equations. I think ultimately if you have a society...
Sorry, chat. My brother Stan calling right now, but I'm about to get back to him. My boy Stansky. One of my college brothers. But I'm about to get back to him because I'm doing this video right now.
that only goes so far, and it starts to crumble. So they create laws that say, well, don't steal, and then there's repercussions for stealing. In some societies, the death penalty is perfectly fine. In other societies, the death penalty never happens. So at the end of the day, you could put God into it, or you could put in what works and what doesn't work. And you could see all over the world what works and what doesn't work. Yes, in China, there is no freedom of speech. But like you said, does that mean that this is a better society or a worse society? Hard to say. I like freedom of speech, but people in China, some of them a lot more prosperous than people in America who do have freedom of speech, who will say, we think this is a much better system. Our families prosper way more than in America. But I don't know if you could put God necessarily into it and say, this is the absolute truth, because then you're saying that my God's absolute truth is the absolute truth. Because if you really think about it, right, you have a character like Thor, who's a Marvel superhero. But at one point, people worship Thor with the same fervor that the Jews worship their God, or the Muslims worship Allah, or the Christians worship Jesus. Now he's just a Marvel superhero.
I get what he's saying. See, I'm not one of them, you feel me? No, I don't care. Because this, I mean, everybody, you feel me? Everybody that had the same upbringing, like, you feel me? When it comes to, like, higher power, like, because some people went through a, essay when they was younger. Like, some women went through essay when they was younger. Some people, born in group homes and got abused and stuff. And they had no parents. So it's quite be hard for them to believe in God when they like, well, dang, like, because then you feel like, well, and then you hear God is just strategy. He's super strategic. You think, like, dang, like, why did God put me in this situation? So I understand. Some people don't. Sometimes people need more convinced. I'm not one of the people who like ignorant to that. Like, and I do agree with him. Like, you feel me? Like, it is a little kind of dicey when you got 4 different gods. I personally believe that there's only one God, but I think God is so understanding to us that he allows us to have different ways for us to connect with him, Because if it was one way, I feel like it wouldn't, how humans are, it wouldn't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't really function. If the goal is to get as many people to Christ as possible or to the higher power as possible, it wouldn't really work if you got all these people, billions of people who follow one strict way of doing it. You feel me? I just think that it would be better if it was multiple. Because I think at the end of the day, God and his walk, if he wants you to realize that there's one God, he'll bring you to that conclusion. It ain't my job to do that. You feel me? Like, and I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. It would have to be you and his walk, and he have to expose it to you over time like he did for me. But that was my train of thought. But yeah, and I know this because if you just break it down to a basic thing that we all know, teaching, right? I remember in school they gave us a little thing like, you learn visually, do you learn kinesthetically, do you learn auditory, do you learn like whatever else, right? Those different ways of learning, just like love languages. Everybody receives and understands things through a different lens sometimes. So I think that God understanding, he knows that. I mean, if we as humans can understand that, why would God not know that? You know what I mean? So I do think that there's a middle ground on that. You know what I'm saying? Some people might disagree, but I just think, if we have different ways that people can learn in school or different ways that people receive love, like love languages, why would people not be able to have different mediums through which they can receive God? As long as they got a respect for the higher power and respect, him more than everything and anything else, and willing to adjust and cooperate with that higher power and give it credit and this and that and, all the other things you got to do, then I think ain't no thing with it. You know what I'm saying? Me personally. So, but I do agree kind of with Vlad is saying. Let me finish though.
With CGI, but at one point, people really believed that Thor was a god. So why are the people that worship Thor wrong, but the Jews are all right? I don't subscribe to that.
Well, you make 2 very interesting points, but sadly, I'm about to logically annihilate them. I apologize ahead of time.
Okay.
And not because I'm any great Einsteinian genius, but because you actually proved my point. Your first point was that who says that China is less prosperous than America? They would say that they're prepared to sacrifice their freedom of speech in order to have more money. That's my whole point. What makes their viewpoint less valid than yours? Answer: not because of experience. On the contrary, experience would show that Darwin was right, and war is indigenous to the human condition, killing each other, and right makes and might makes right, etc. What makes the American experiment so unique is that it was based on a Bible. These were religious Christians, Jefferson and Washington, although they were deists as well, Ben Franklin, etc. Now they wanted logical proofs. They said, screw King George. I don't care how rich he makes us. I don't care if he wants us to house his redcoats. If I don't get a say in Parliament, and even if you're taxing almost nothing, just my dumb tea or a piece of paper, right? The British were taxing maybe 1,000th of what our federal government and state government taxes us today. I just paid $3 tax on a $9 frickin' cup of coffee before I walked into your studio. They rebelled against that because they wanted freedom. Now, who says they're wrong? So you're going by majority opinion. That scares the crap out of me. If there isn't some absolute law that says that freedom actually is what Jefferson said it was, a God-given right. He said that in the Declaration of Independence. Then you're right. We're screwed. Because if Iran takes over the Middle East, then a woman who shows a little bit of hair is going to be tortured in the name of God and in the name of goodness. But I will fight those bastards no matter how much they take over, because I believe that a woman should not be killed because she dresses the way that she wants. I believe a woman should not be killed by her brothers, Islamists, because she has a boyfriend and may have had sex with him and humiliated the family. Because I believe in the 10 Commandments. God said, do not murder. So when Hitler came along and said, look, I'm not going to murder Germans, and I'm not going to murder the British. I want peace with the British. They're Anglo-Saxons. They're like us. But Jews are diseased. Jews are homeless. They're parasites. They're liars. It's a mitzvah.
To be honest, I didn't know Hitler said all that about Jews, and I don't even really understand Jewish culture. I don't even understand Jewish or like that whole group. I don't even understand like about that. I had to do my research on that, so I got no comments on that.
It's a virtue to kill them. Who said he was wrong? Answer: an absolute moral authority that said, no matter how you feel about Jews, you can't kill them. No matter how much you feel about gays, you can't kill them. No matter how much you feel about Muslims, you can't kill them. Your viewpoint scares the crap out of me. Because if it's all just an opinion and it comes down to a majority, then we Americans are only 330 million people. And right now, democracy is on the decline. Democracy used to be 70% of countries. Now we're down to about 55%. I think we're going to be at 35% soon, and we're going to all live as slaves again. I think America at its 250th birthday is in a real crisis of freedom. And not because of Trump. Let's cut that crap as if Trump is some dictator when every day half the news media calls him Hitler. That's not a dictatorship. I'm afraid that we are watching the rise of totalitarian governments who can claim what you just claimed. They're more prosperous than the West. They make more money than the West. They don't have all the racial tensions of the West. And then we're really screwed. Because I would give up. I like nice things too. I would give them all up for freedom. That's why I live here. I could live in a totalitarian country. I will frickin' pick up my damn rifle if I have to, just to have the right to express my damn opinion, as my forebears in Lexington and Concord did. So you take God out of the equation.
Now let's get this opinion thing right. The whole opinion thing, bro, that shit been irking me like for the longest time. I literally had dated a girl who was a teacher, by the way, who told me, like, who was actually my girl at one point for a good little minute, and we was talking about something, and then she was like, well, who are you to, I basically said, she gave her her opinion on something. I was like, well, that's wrong. And she was like, well, who are you to say my opinion is wrong? I'm like, it wasn't like a preference. It's different between a preference and an opinion. If we're talking about something that's information based, that you can look up, that you can type on Google and say, what is this? You can be right or wrong. I don't give a fuck what nobody said. Now, if we're talking about a preference of like what you like on your food, which way you like to drive home, what's the best artist, what's the best jump. That's opinion. That's an opinion. That's more of an opinion. Like that's more preference based. There's no really right or wrong. But if you're talking about information, bro, like how far does it take to get to California to Georgia, or that's obvious, but that's just an obvious example. But or how cold is the Antarctic water, or what places it rain in, like stuff that can actually be fact checked, you can be wrong. Like I don't get what the fuck is up with people. Like people are, I think after the pandemic, people lost their fucking minds, bro. Cause like how the fuck do you not understand that you can have an opinion about something and be incorrect? not a preference. You can't be wrong with your preferences depending on what it is for the most part. But an opinion is just a theory or a perspective. You can have a wrong theory or a wrong perspective. You feel me? And I forgot why I said that because he's mentioned something about opinion. Let me go back.
And we are have to just to have the right to express my damn opinion.
Yeah. He's talking about the right to express his opinion. See, my thing with opinions is I don't think there's nothing wrong with expressing it, but when you live your whole life based off of opinion, and the opposite of an opinion is a fact, so those two are like synonymous to each other. So you can't have an opinion without a fact. You can't have a fact without an opinion because they go with each other, right? So my issue is people living their lives based off of theories and speculations and perspectives and not fact checking them. That's my issue because my thing is now you're going out to the world like polluting the world because or you know what I'm saying because you don't want to fact check what you think. You know what I'm saying? Everything can't be fact checked, but a lot of things can. You feel me? 100% of things can be fact checked. It can't. You know, but like 40 to 50% of things can be fact checked. You feel me? For the most part. So if you blindly just willy nilly just walking around just I'm gonna think what I want it's kind of like I can't respect people like that to be honest because it's just like you basically are cool with being ignorant and being cool with not knowing what you're talking about if it works. You know what I'm saying? My thing is like those people are gonna hit a glass ceiling one day. There's gonna be some area of their life where they're not fact checking nothing and they're gonna hit a glass ceiling, whether it's romance, whether it's finance, whether it's, you feel me, health, whether it's anything, you feel me? They're gonna hit a glass ceiling because they don't wanna acknowledge that, okay, I have this opinion or this perspective, but it can technically be wrong, I guess. Do information again, not preference. Preference and opinion are two different things. Opinion is basically a theory. This opinion is basically, lack of better words, this is just what I think. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's up. I don't know if it's down. I just think it. And I can't respect that because why did you just stop there? Why don't you go past that to say, let me see if this is actually right? Especially because, and I'm ranting on this because I've had an issue with this for a minute. Especially because, and I'm so big on the opinion thing because you act what you think, right? Your thoughts correlate to your actions. So if you believe something or think something, it'll correlate in your behavior. So that's why it's so important to make sure you fact check what you think because then you're fact checking your behavior by proxy. You feel me? Because if you don't fact check it, you're basically saying that's why people act however they want because they just think whatever they want. They don't even fact check it or they don't even consider, what would God think about this? What would a higher power think about this? You know what I'm saying? And so they just act however they want. You know what I'm saying? And I just had to get on that rant, but let me let him finish.
And as my forebears in Lexington and Concord did. So you take God out of the equation and we are effing screwed. Because you have to be able to fall back on something that transcends majority human opinion.
Ooh, yeah, that right there. That's what I'm saying. I agree with him. If you take God or the higher power out of perspectives, you have chaos, kind of what we have now, like a lot of chaos. Because people say, well, I think this, well, I think this, well, I think this. We're humans. We have limited perspective. That means there's going to be, you know how they say blind spots? There's going to be information blind spots that we may not have or perspective blind spots. That's where the higher power comes in. And one of the million ways he comes in because he don't have no blind spots. He don't have no information blind spots. He knows literally everything about everything. Like he knows what we ate when we first was born. He knows how long it took us to get from the hospital to the bed. He knows what temperature the house was. He knows the texture of the blanket that had, you know what I'm saying? He knows every extreme detail of every single thing of every single person. So that's why, that's one of the many reasons why you go to him because he knows more than us. You feel me? It's just like he's the expert. You know what I'm saying? We're not the experts on it. He's the expert. You know? So when I go to the expert, why just guess and say, I want to say something? You can still have an opinion, but at least fact check it. You know what I mean? Why not?
It's an absolute truth that God made us free. And there is no other source for that than the Bible. Sorry. And you won't be able to cite one. You just said yourself. It comes down to experiment. Well, the experiment is that people love killing each other and have done so for 5,000 years. And from Alexander the Great to Hannibal to Caesar to even great American warlords who fought more for, like George Washington or Patton or MacArthur, who fought for freedom. You take them out of the equation and we just get might makes right. And if the if the Chinese military, conventionally at least, begins to outpower the United States, we will live as Chinese slaves. Yeah, we will. I know it sounds like an extreme statement, but it's true.
Welcome to Iron.
But he didn't acknowledge the part about the people. Why is somebody who believed in Thor back then more correct or incorrect than somebody who believes in Jesus or Allah nowadays? That's a good question. I mean, I've never thought about that, but that's a great question. I mean, I can't answer that. I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't have no answer to that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have no answer to that, to be honest. I want to see if he answered that actually.
Future of futures trading with our cutting edge chart trading feature and 300 plus indicators. Okay, so I'll just reply to that. We are not living in a true democracy in America. Money still skews the situation almost every time. People who have more money could get away with certain things legally, me included. The type of lawyers that I can afford allows me to do certain things that people who have a public defender cannot do. I've experienced this because I spent over $1 million in lawyer fees. Also, you have situations like Supreme Court judges and judges in general who sit there for a lifetime and never rotate their opinions. You have unequal laws where, for example, black people have historically been prosecuted way worse than other races. So you can't say this is a God-given democracy and everything is fair according to God, because we've seen time and time again in America that things are very unfair, even according to God, based on your definition of it.
Well, you and I thank God, Vlad. I see you're not Vlad the Impaler. I see you're Vlad the Inhaler. You inhale ideas, and you process them, and I like your style. We've reached a point of mutual agreement and understanding. I agree with everything you just said. I'm right now being sued by an institution in Florida that sued me after I was threatened with murder as a Jew. I've seen that because I'm up against a billionaire, that the inequality of it. I'm a father of 9, grandfather of 12. You don't think that I question the whole judicial system based on my experience? Of course I do. You don't think I understand that those who can afford the best lawyers get the most justice? Of course. You don't think that I agree that there should be mandatory retirement ages? The judge that we have, my understanding is that he's a bit elderly, God bless him, but I believe in term limits in Congress. I believe in term limits in the presidency, which didn't exist before FDR won 4 elections. I don't believe that a senator should live 99,000 years in the Senate. That's a joke. That all has to do with the imperfections of the American democratic experiment, which is a constantly evolving phenomenon. Treatment of blacks in America was, the word abomination doesn't capture it. The idea that 150 years ago, a black baby was literally ripped away from his mother's breast as he suckled just for life and was sold on the block as if he were a frickin' carpet, sickens me. And I am the most patriotic American. I love America, but that sickens me. The idea that a black kid 40 years ago
But that goes back to what he said earlier. When there's no higher power that's above what we majority opinion, you have stuff like that, because majority opinion back then was that was normal, even though we all know that was not normal. But that was majority opinion. Thank Christ and thank God that, you feel me, majority opinion has changed, you feel me, a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Some people argue it's the same as it. Bro, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, that's disrespectful to people who actually went through that. Like, we ain't going through nothing nowhere near similar to that shit, bro. Nothing in modern times, 2026, are we going as black people experiencing anywhere near what our forefathers and foremothers experienced. Nowhere near. There's no way you can even form your mouth to say that shit. But people say it. But I agree with him. That goes back to what he said earlier. Because back then, that was majority opinion. Majority opinion was, that's an object. You know what I'm saying? But obviously God disagreed with him. You feel me? So it's just like, I agree with him when he said that religion without religion, it's almost like without laws. If without laws, it left up to human behavior, man, it'd be anarchy around this bitch. People houses get broken in, people be stealing, people be all kinds of shit, bro. The only reason people don't do it is because of fear of consequence. One thing I learned about people, you feel me, is that, like, in psychology, you learn people got 2 motives. They got fear of consequence. Well, 2. I'm sorry, let me reword that. 2 main motivators that make people move and or stop and or go. You got fear of consequence, and you got incentive. Like, basically, what am I getting out of this? What am I gaining from this? Those are two main. There's probably some other ones, but the two main ones is that's the main reason why you see people don't do a lot of stuff is because of fear of consequence, and a lot of reasons why people do things is because of potential for incentive. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I getting out of this? So, yeah, potential for incentive and fear of consequence are the two main factors that make people do or not do things. You know what I'm saying? And you could look at any human behavior and draw it down to those two things. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I agree with him.
Soccer ball in Birmingham, Alabama. Right now, outside of New York, it's about 90 degrees. Birmingham's a lot hotter. Kicking a soccer ball, couldn't drink water from something that said a whites only water 40 years ago sickens me. What we must therefore do is apply more of God's laws and teachings, which is whoever said that a black man is the lesser of a white man? Answer, the frickin' Confederacy said that. And they said it in the name of Christianity, which is disgusting. And that's my whole point. You can't invent, you see, that's my point. You say I'm not religious. I want people like you to say you are religious. I want you to say I reject slavery, and therefore that makes me more religious than these fake Christians who in the name of the Bible were saying that black people were born into servitude. Screw you. You're not religious. You're a fraud. I want you to tell Kate.
And those are the people that I'm referring to that injected and manipulated religion. I think religion at its core is perfect and beautiful in essence and meaning. But I just think that, like he just said, because the people who had influence over what was being taught, because everybody doesn't come out the womb knowing this stuff. So somebody had to put them on game or they put themselves on game. And a person who's given the game has the ability to lead or mislead depending on their characteristics and their, ethical whatever. And so that's what I question. I think that's what a lot of people who struggle with Christianity or struggle with religion deal with, the fact of, okay, I know God is all knowing. I know God is all trustworthy. I know God is all this. But the people who saying it, I don't know if they're that. You know what I'm saying? Because God can't talk to me in the sense of how I'm talking to y'all. He can give signs. He can give, talk through the environment or through things or through people. But he can't directly say, hey, son, or hey, dog. He can't directly talk to you. Not because he can't do it, but because he respects his own universal laws. And that's something, a law he's not going to break. You see what I'm saying? So that's where it mines. And I feel like a lot of other people's, hang up on fully claiming a religion or fully investing in it, because it's like it's a lot of unanswered questions that people who are deep into it can't even answer. So now somebody who's deep in this thing can't even answer it for me. How am I supposed to fully go into it? That's why I feel like a lot of people are lukewarm and half in, half out, because they got questions that people who are fully devoted can't even answer. So now I feel like something missing. Like, why can't you answer this? If you so 10 toes down, why can't you answer this question? You know what I'm saying? Just like how earlier, Vlad thought about why somebody who believed in Thor back 1,500 years ago, why is he more right or wrong? Why is he more wrong than somebody who is Muslim who believes in Allah or who's Christian who believes in Jesus? Now, I personally believe in Jesus, you know what I'm saying? But I respect all spiritual higher powers, I don't look at it as like, oh, Jesus is the only one. I don't believe that. I feel like he's the most significant one, but I don't think he's the only one. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's what I mean.
Of Iran, Israel just killed the elder. We don't know if the younger is even alive or had half his torso blown off, or, I want you to go to him and say, shove your turban up where the sun doesn't shine, because you're about as religious as, for a Jew, a double bacon cheeseburger ham sandwich. You're not religious because you have a beard and because you have the title Ayatollah. You're religious if you live by God's law. Now, you just said to me, you try not to kill, steal, murder, envy, etc. That makes you pretty damn religious. Now, let me tell you something. Khatemi of Iran does all those things, and yet we're dumb enough to call him religious. He is a snake oil salesman. Now, let me go even further and get a little bit controversial here. I couldn't wait for the day that we got an American Pope. And we got Pope Leo from Chicago, God bless him. And Pope Leo comes along and says, hey, I want to speak in the name of the gospel. And in the name of the gospel, I'm going to say that you can't pray for American soldiers who are fighting Iran because God hates war. What the hell are you frickin' talking about? You're the Pope. You can't make crap up. The Bible says clearly in Leviticus chapter 16, thou shalt not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. If a woman is being tortured to death by the Iranian regime because she showed a strand of hair, God bless the American GIs who go to liberate her. I will pray for them every freaking day. I don't even care what the Pope says. I don't care what rabbis say. I don't care what imams say. I care what God said. And God said you don't kill a woman because she shows her hair. And God said you don't dig a woman into a freaking ditch when her husband wants to get rid of her. In Iran, the law is when you're accused of adultery, you are guilty until proven innocent. So if you don't like your wife, you don't have to go to court and lose half your assets like in California and New York. All you gotta do is say, I saw you with Ahmed. And then they dig her into a ditch if she can't prove that she didn't have sex with Ahmed. Difficult thing to prove, don't you think?
Damn.
And then her male issue, meaning her own sons, bring a giant boulder and they crack her skull. Now, you can...
Wait, hold up. Hold up. Bro, is that true, bro? Like, if that's true, bro, we are living amazing over here in America, bro. What the fuck? I gotta look into that, bro. I gotta fact check that shit, bro. That sound kind of... I knew they were strict over there, but that's a lot. Yeah, like... And two, for the women, bro, if that's true, bro, women, y'all shouldn't complain about nothing. I ain't gonna lie. Y'all have no right to complain about nothing. I know, bro, what? You just hear me? If you show a strand of hair or if you... Nah, fam. That's OD. That's, I don't know what the hell that, but again, like he said earlier, I really respect what he said because that's so true. Like, society goes off majority opinion, you feel me? And not off of, you know? And the people who don't go with majority opinion or who go with the truth, they cut through. You know what I'm saying? They cut through more than people who just go along with whatever majority opinion is. If you go with majority opinion, you're just going to blend in, just go along, you're like a bag floating in the wind. You're just going to flow into the abyss, like, you know what I'm saying? So, but if that's true, bro, I ain't gonna lie. We got a lot to be thankful for in America. I'm not gonna lie. Me included.
Call that religious. I call that the frickin' devil. I call it Satan. So let's stop this crap that these people are religious. And for Pope Leo, I would really say to Pope Leo, did you want your pontificate to just become a Hallmark card? Every day I hear him making these, and I'm very close to the Vatican. I travel there all the time. I met Pope Francis, who was a great man. I met Pope Benedict, who was a great man. I know the Cardinal Secretary of State, decently well. Cardinal Pietro Parolin, who actually runs the Global Catholic Church, and who everyone thought was going to be elected Pope. I want to say to Pope Leo, every day I hear you making a statement that I could honestly find, sadly, on a Hallmark card. Let's all be nice to each other. I believe in peace. Let's all be sweet. What about the difficult moral pronouncements? I am the pontiff. I sit in the seat of St. Peter. Iran taking gay men and women and hanging them from cranes in public is an abomination against God. You'll never hear Pope Leo saying that. And you know why? Because he doesn't want to be controversial. Part of being religious is a preparedness to be hated.
I was about to say, part of being religious and part of being for a higher power is be willing to go against the grain, which is something I struggle with publicly. You got to publicly and privately go against the grain. Now, I've done it privately, but now me doing stuff like this and me purposely trying to show God that I respect what he says to me and what he says by going against the grain. I know some of this stuff goes against the grain, but some of it's not. But I'm going against the grain of the majority opinion, not the grain of the truth. I'm going exactly in line with the truth. I'm going against the grain of what majority opinion is of 2026. But, most people don't fact check anything. So we're going off the majority of people who don't look up anything. So no wonder why we got what we got, man.
And if you just want to be a Hallmark card who wears beautiful white robes, but you're just saying stuff that is like a collection of beautiful Hallmark aphorisms that I can get off of ChatGPT, then I kind of wonder why we even need the position.
Man. Great freaking video, man. It was a long one, you know what I'm saying? There was a spiritual one. I got real passionate about this one because I've always spoke my opinion about, the higher power. And I always said I wanted, and I'm going to get on there, Vlad. I'm going to see you one day, Vlad. I'm going to get on Vlad and we're going to have this conversation, you know what I'm saying? We're not going to go too deep, but I'm going to make him believe in a higher power, you know what I'm saying, for sure. But, yeah, shout out y'all, man. AP Reacts gang, we in here. Thank y'all for tapping in with me. It was a longer video, but, yeah. tap in with me next. You know, we're gonna make the next video gonna be a little bit more lighter. Gonna be a little lighter. You know what I mean? Not gonna be as heavy. But yeah, shout out y'all, and we're gonna be back with another video soon. We out.